Hi everyone, my name is Sanjith Kalpat, and I'm going to be talking about Sally Mann's photo titled New Mothers. At 8 years old, I didn't think twice when my parents handed me the responsibility of watching my 3 and 5-year-old niece and nephew for a couple of hours during the day. Just make sure they're safe, okay? I recall my mom saying casually, as if handing me nothing more important than a household chore. I remember those afternoons vividly, playing board games in my bedroom, raiding the kitchen for snacks, just making sure they didn't do anything dangerous. However, I was just a child too. At that time, I didn't question why my parents resided a great sense of trust within me by watching over them, but looking back now, I can see the weight of that moment. I could barely tie my shoes then, and there I was, carrying that expectation of responsibility. It was like a sense of playfulness, being a kid masking something much, much greater. That was one of the first times in my life where childhood and adulthood blurred, essentially representing the complicated depiction of youth in Sally Mann's piece titled New Mothers. Shot in 1989, this black and white photograph shows Mann's daughters Jessie and Virginia playing at being grown-ups. The older girl, Jessie, stands confidently with a candy cigarette in one hand and gripping a stroller with the other. Her gaze is directed towards the camera, almost defiantly. Besides her, the younger girl, Virginia, is almost seen mimicking her, cradling a doll as though she is also a mother, yet she turns away, seemingly detached from the doll and sort of avoiding the maternal role placed on her in this game of pretend play. In the single frame, Mann captures the interaction between playfulness and responsibility, innocence and maturity. Although the kids are simply posing, playing the part of mothers, there is an undeniable tension from the photo. The candy cigarette, the inattentiveness to the doll, the distant expressions, all suddenly hint at the weight of adulthood and the expectations that come along with it. The first time that I noticed this photo, I simply thought of it as a game of dress-up, nothing more, nothing less. But looking back at it again, I really question why. Why does Sally Mann make her kids pose in this exact position with these precise expressions and stances? Only then I realized that there is a very complicated dynamic of childhood being portrayed here. New Mothers is part of Immediate Family, which is a collection of Mann's deeply personal and intimate photographs that depict her children while playing, resting, and it is ultimately an expression of ways to capture them in their home of Lexington, Virginia. Mann's approach blurs the line between reality and performance, highlighting both the beauty and complexity of childhood. Her work's known dreamlike aesthetic is often done with broken lenses and unconventional techniques that capture beauty and allure within this imperfection. For this particular project, she used an 8x10 bellows camera, a large format film camera that forces both the photographer and the subject into a slower and more deliberate process. This method is vastly different from photographing with a digital camera or even an SLR. Digital photography in general, while dependent on manual settings, offers a level of flexibility that a bellows camera does not. And with large format film, there is no feedback, and each shot is final. Stepping aside, Mann's work has not been without controversy. Some critics have labeled her photographs as inappropriate and even pornographic, with Sally's collection being made up of both dressed and nude photos. But stepping back, I think of it as a mother capturing the moments before her children grow up, preserving the magic of what it is to be in youth. Over time, many have come to appreciate her work for what it is, an exploration of childhood's fragile in-between state. This is exactly what Mann intended for, as she believes that, quote, photographs open doors into the past, but they also allow a look into the future. Much like my own experience of babysitting, something that I didn't fully grasp until much later, New Mothers forces us to reconsider what we thought we knew about childhood. Man also challenges our assumptions, making us reflect on the contrast between what we see at the moment and what we understand later. Through her lens, she reminds us that childhood is not just a period of innocence, but it is also a place and space where maturity quietly begins to take shape, whether we recognize it at that time or not. Thank you.